Hey, I'm back again. Look, I'm not going to sit here and talk about this for a real long time, but I did think that it was worth actually taking the time to sit here and throw up a quick video on. One of the issues that I ran into the other night, I was actually sitting down watching Fox News, and the thing that really got me was I was watching, and Mike Huckabee came on, and he was discussing Sarah Palin, and they've been giving the lady a really hard time. You know, it's been both the Republicans and the Democrats. Nobody's really giving her a break. And they had Rush Limbaugh in a clip where he was talking about it as well. But the thing that really confused me and got me a little bit upset was the fact that both Rush Limbaugh and Mike Huckabee sat there and they said flat out that if Sarah Palin did not get in line with the Republican Party, that she wasn't going to be a viable candidate because she had to be in line with either the Republicans or the Democrats. Otherwise, she couldn't be a president. She couldn't be a vice president. And that really got me to thinking because the way I remember reading everything when you're looking through history is that you can become a president no matter where you come from. Okay? Everyone now is talking about, oh, have you graduated from Harvard? Have you graduated from Yale? You know what? No, I didn't. Okay? And it shouldn't be an issue. They are becoming Washington elitists, basically saying they're better than the rest of America. And then they're turning around and saying, oh, by the way, if you don't actually do what you need to be doing to help continue the party and help push the party line, then you're not going to be able to become president. You're not going to be able to keep this office. And it's a matter of why. Okay? Yes, I understand that a lot of this will come down to a point of, okay, well, the Republican Party spends so many $1 million on this campaign, and the Democratic Party spends so many $1 million on this campaign, and any third parties that are running or they might break $1 million if they're lucky. So they just don't get as much public airtime, people don't see them as much, whatever. Okay, but the thing is, that was never the intent when the founding fathers put together the United States. Their intent was to make it to where any person, regardless of race, regardless of their status in life, I don't care if you graduated from Yale with or Harvard with honors, or if you just barely made it through high school. The whole issue is you can become president if you can garner the trust and the following of the American people. You know, I'm to the point right now where, honestly, if, I'm going to be 34 come January of 2012. You know, if I was 35 in January instead of in May, I would probably run myself. And it's not because I think that I'm that good, but it's because I think those two parties are that bad. You know, if I was actually willing to stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to throw my name in, then maybe we could get a couple of people that were actually good enough to throw their names into. Okay, I don't think I'm popular enough to where I'm going to be able to draw enough people behind me because my ideas, by a lot of people, are considered very radical. But to me, the smartest way to fix everything is to look back to the founding fathers and the way that they would have fixed it. They would have looked at it and said, okay, the Constitution says this, and they would have said the Bible says this. Okay, and before anybody turns around and says, oh, don't get religion into it, don't get religion into it. Okay, the Bible was part of it. And from presidents like George Washington says, it's impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible. And then Ulysses S. Grant comes back and says, hold fast to the Bible because we must look to it as our guide in the future. Okay? It was all across the founding fathers. It was all across the early presidents. They all had the same belief. Okay, somewhere along the way they decided, hey, let's take the Bible out. Well, that's where they screwed up. Okay, but even without looking at it from a religious aspect, okay, just look at it as a book. It's got the principles in it that the founding fathers used and said, this is how we built the nation. Okay, so just use it as a reference, if nothing else, to say, okay, well, when they were doing this, they were using this. So how do we need to make everything correspond so that it works again? Okay, get rid of some of these issues, like the IRS. It was never properly ratified. They just up one day and said, hey, let's do this. We're the IRS. You're going to be paying us now. And the American public said, oh, you're the IRS. We're going to be paying you now. Okay. But it was never properly ratified. If it's not properly ratified, it's not legitimate. That's why you have places like Nevada that can sit there and say, hey, you know what? We don't report to the IRS. and the government can't really stop them because it was never ratified. Okay, but the whole issue is instead of making everything so complex, it looks like a freaking computer schematic or worse with things like Obama's healthcare plan, where he's going to be popping us up at like 50 and a half, 50, 55%, whatever it is. It's something huge and insane. Why not put it at a flat 12.5% tax across the board, sales tax it, and say, let's do away with the IRS because we don't need to have all this complex thing that supercomputers can't figure out. Okay, let's make it a flat sales tax. This is how you take care of it. Then let's turn around and take all those people and say, you know what? All the people in the IRS, your jobs, bye bye. They don't exist anymore. But don't worry, you're not going to be without a job because by lowering the taxes on everybody else, we now have all these businesses in the private sector that are able to create new jobs. Which means now, instead of you sitting there playing with a supercomputer trying to confuse people, you can actually say, you know what? I'm becoming a contributing member of society in the private sector, helping make lives better instead of helping make lives more miserable. Okay? It's just simple little things like this. And really, people, it's not that hard. All you got to do is just look back. It's all written right there in history. And if you'll take the time to sit down and say, you know what, let's look, you've got things like constitution.org, things like this that'll show up, and you've got it all right there. If not, I mean, you can always hook in with a couple of things like my blogs. I've got friends that also have blogs that follow all this stuff. I mean, it's not hard. It's all right there. But either way, basically, smartest thing I can say is, hey, you know what, America, watch out because we're following the lines of Nazi Germany right now. The guys that we said were wrong in World War II. Yeah, that's the direction Obama's taking us. We need to get off of that line, go back to the founding fathers, and get everything straight. And the only way we can do it is by you, all the people in America, actually standing up and saying, it's time for us to change.